Well, the left-leaning media watchdog group Media Matters for America finding itself under a media microscope at this time. Shannon Bream is live in Washington with more on this. Shannon?
Hi, Jenna. Well, in forms it filed with the IRS in order to obtain tax-exempt status, Media Matters identified its purpose as, quote, charitable and educational. Since then, the organization has made it clear that it is using its resources to attack various media outlets, including Fox News.
This is basically taking a government subsidy in order to attack a for-profit company like Fox News and News Corp. So you have a company that is free of federal taxes, people can donate to and have a tax write-off, and is classified as an educational charity. But by any conventional standard, it doesn't meet any of those metrics.
Internal memos obtained by the Daily Caller show Media Matters leaders considered a number of direct attacks on Fox News, including the possibility of hiring private investigators to delve into the personal lives of hosts, commentators, and executives. Tax law experts say those kinds of activities stretch the boundaries of what a tax-exempt organization should be doing.
You may advocate a particular point of view, and you may do so strongly, but you can't have it just be unsubstantiated opinion, and you have to be reasonably objective about the way you present your views. So an excessive use of inflammatory language would be one factor that the Internal Revenue Service could look at.
A number of complaints against Media Matters have been filed with the IRS. Now, several congressional Republicans say they're interested in vetting the tax-exempt status of the group. Experts warn, though, this area of the law is very complex with plenty of wiggle room. Jenna?
And we have more on this now. Shannon, thank you.
Let's check in with our News Watch panel. Andrea Tanteros is a columnist for the New York Daily News and a co-host of The Five here on Fox News Channel. Kirsten Powers is a columnist for the Daily Beast and a Fox News contributor, also a new contributor to USA Today. And Jim Pinkerton is a contributing editor and writer for the American Conservative magazine, also a Fox News contributor. I want to boil down some of this battle to a Media Matters memo that was actually circulated internally, according to the Daily Caller, and they got some extraordinary access to some of the stuff these folks have written. Here's part of what it boils down to. Simply put, writes Carl Frisch, a senior fellow, the progressive movement is in need of an enemy. George W. Bush is gone. We really don't have John McCain to kick around anymore. Filling the lack of leadership on the right, Fox News has emerged as the central enemy and antagonist of the Obama administration. Our congressional majorities and the progressive movement as a whole, we must take Fox News head on in a well-orchestrated, well-funded presidential-style campaign to discredit and embarrass the network, making it illegitimate in the eyes of news consumers. Jim, does that sound like the work of a tax-free organization?
It doesn't. And I have to tell you, John, that last year, David Brock, the president of Media Matters, was quoted as saying, this is him talking now, I want to engage in a, quote, guerrilla war and sabotage, unquote, campaign against Fox. And I thought, well, that's kind of a little bit heavy for a charity, as Shannon said, an educational and charitable charity. But I assumed it was just him, just talking out of turn, talking maybe a little bit from a position of instability. Now I realize, thanks to this memo, the 90-page memo, which all of our viewers can find on the Daily Caller website and probably elsewhere as well, that this was actually sort of the corporate culture of the whole organization. It's kind of astonishing to me that a rogue outfit like this could exist here in Washington.
Kirsten, you are an unabashed liberal, an advocate of liberal causes. So is Media Matters. But well, how do you feel about this purported war that they've launched?
Well, I think it's disappointing because I actually think that they do a lot of good stuff, even though I'm often, on the receiving end of their criticism. But overall, I think, they serve a purpose. They monitor the media and they find, where they think there's bias or there's mistakes. There's nothing wrong with that. Where there's a problem is what is in these memos talking about going after, not just about going after the network, but actually going after individual people, executive producers, people who work at Fox News, and trying to somehow just basically destroy their lives, as far as I can tell, to try to find maybe track them and find something out about them that could be used against them. This is very, very troubling to me. And the coordination, I guess you would say, between some of the issues that they were putting out there that were later then picked up or parroted by White House spokespeople is kind of interesting.
It's more than interesting. It's downright troubling. I mean, the fact that they actually could be coordinating with the White House and then they're getting tax breaks. I mean, think about it, John. This is an organization that claims to be a charity that doesn't essentially pay any taxes. And its existence is based on one thing, and that's to take out a for-profit company, and that is News Corp, the parent company of this network. So
because they don't like our reporting?
That's right. Now, look, you can say we have free speech in this country. You can say what you want about different news organizations, but you can't get a subsidy for that. And this is why Republicans, and I applaud them for actually looking into what Media Matters is doing and looking into revoking their tax-exempt status, because, you know, there's two separate economies right now. We have one where you have for-profit companies trying to make a business and the left is demonizing them, and then you have these nonprofit fake charities that really aren't doing any real discernible charity work like Media Matters that aren't paying taxes, which gives them an advantage. So it's pretty ironic, and it begs the question, should their tax-exempt status be revoked? And I think it should.
Well, Jim, if viewers don't like the kind of reporting that they see on Fox News Channel, don't they have other alternatives?
Right, and all the alternatives to Fox are protected by the First Amendment. I mean, it's important to understand that Fox not only is a private corporation and private property and therefore has its own rights to exist and not be harassed and defamed, but in addition, as a part of the media, you know, we have a First Amendment right to say this, as does CNN and MSNBC and everybody else. And so for Media Matters to come along and say we're going to try and deprive Fox, and by implication its viewers and supporters, of their First Amendment rights to free speech and to hear free speech, that's pretty astonishing. As Andrea says, that they're getting a tax deduction to do this. So in effect, all the other taxpayers of America are chipping in to pay for Media Matters to attack Fox.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, Kirsten, but people who donate to their site get to take a tax deduction for the donation.
Yeah, well, you know, Shannon said in her piece before we came on that this is a very difficult area, and I think there are a lot of a lot of institutions that have tax deductible status who do sort of engage in political activity, and so it's a bigger problem, and I'm not sure that you can take away their status for doing this. I would also say they're not infringing on anybody's First Amendment rights, because only the government can infringe on First Amendment rights. All that to be said, what they're doing, I have a major problem with. Like I said, there is nothing wrong with monitoring the media. There's nothing wrong with pointing out when mistakes are made. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is a problem with waging an all-out war against individuals who work at a news organization to try to, you know, to disrupt their lives, to try to destroy their lives. I don't think that people who are giving money to this organization really think that that's what they're doing.
We're going to have to wrap it up there.
Don't agree.
Bye.